Hey, Morning Blend fans, it's Rohan Siddhanti here today, and it's great to have you with us. I have my best friend here, Dubey, today to give you a bunch of interesting topics.
Let's get right into it. Today, we're going to be sharing with you our perspective on the oil spill. We're going to talk about outsourcing pregnancy to India, and also the gay community in India.
So, on one of our topics, I want to just focus on it right away. I can't wait to get into it. It's the oil spill.
Yeah.
We all know about the oil spill and how that's been affecting the Gulf. It's a tragedy. But there's something that happened in India in 1984. It's known as the Bhopal tragedy or the Union Carbide tragedy. Neil, you know about this well.
Right. That was the gas leak in 1984. I think 2,600 people, the numbers are really iffy. 2,600 died instantaneously, roughly 22,000 over the next 2 decades, and 500,000 people have been affected.
So it's a monstrous environmental disaster.
The worst industrial,
of ever, right?
Catastrophe.
So a foreign company, this was a U.S. company, the Union Carbide, U.S. company in Indian soil, just murdered the environment and people, okay? BP came not as much of a people disaster, more of an environmental disaster, but on the same level of magnitude. I think that there's kind of a double standard here for companies and governments protecting them and things like that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that double standard you're talking about is corporate liability, right? In Union Carbide, you see an American company defiling foreign soil, and they basically got away with it. There was only about $140 million reparation, which equates to about $1.whatever billion in today's dollars. So you're looking at 1/40th of the amount of compensation that was given to the victims. And the 7 Indian executives that were in charge during the tragedy were handed verdicts this past June.
I heard about that.
That's right.
They barely
over
got
20 years after the case.
They get some fines and stuff like that. So I definitely agree with you on the double standard. Definitely true. But something else I want to point out to our viewers is that I think there's been a shift in consciousness since 1984 to 2010 of how sort of the people and the populace view big business. So, especially in America, last 10 years, tons of corporate scandals. AOL, Time Warner, Xerox was, doing their financial stuff, Enron, Arthur Anderson. We've had a distrust with big business, big government. Like, from Wall Street to Main Street, we blame them for all this stuff. It's fashionable to do that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there.
Right?
That's what the whole thing about the MMS getting too cozy with the oil executives, that's what's infuriating a lot of Americans.
Exactly. So now it's become fashionable to, behind closed doors, be buddy-buddy with business, but on the front of it, when you're at a hearing or things like that, come down on big business whenever you can.
Yeah, that's true.
So the one change is, though, that BP, it looks like they're going to get charges pressed against them.
It looks like Tony Hayward's in some big trouble here.
Yeah, I really hope we see some change.
Well, let's move on to our next topic, which is the popularity of getting your surrogacy done in India. It seems to be a pretty big deal nowadays.
Yeah. For those of us that live and die by the numbers, we were looking for hardcore numbers on this, but let me just read you a quote. There are no firm, it's from a Time magazine article, there are no firm statistics, but anecdotal evidence suggests a sharp increase. A sharp increase in the number of people going to India to have babies born for them, so surrogate mothers.
Yeah, and that's got to be fueled from the cost differential from getting a surrogacy done in the United States, which can cost as much as $80,000. You can get it done in India for about 10. So the airfare and all that makes it worth it. So
from what I understand, you're kind of against this, this whole topic, and I'm kind of for it. So
you got to tell our viewers.
I really want to share my views on this topic.
Okay,
because
go ahead. Yeah.
There's a bunch of different perspectives I don't know if people have thought about. One of the things is there's a shortage of adoptable children. Especially in the U.S. So that's why a lot of U.S. people are going over. By the way, there was an Oprah Winfrey special on this, U.S. people going over to India. There's a shortage of adoptable children, okay? Also, commercial surrogacy represents an option for infertile couples. I mean, that's not really another option that they would have, and this presents a way for them to create their own baby with their own genes, and they put it in someone else. That's rare. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, lastly, a third argument that's in favor of it is that it gives women the power over their own pregnancy. I don't know if you thought about that, and that's something I read. It allows middle-aged Indian women who now want to have a baby and just can't have it another way. This is how they have it. It allows them to control their life more. Same with people coming from the U.S. They don't have to take a break from work.
I think the reality of this issue is that these women are being exploited. These are illiterate, very low-class women who have to, if they want, or if they're in one of those clinic situations, they'll live in a hostel with a bunch of other surrogate mothers,
that's the thing.
sleep on twin beds, away from their families, away for 9 months to go through this thing. And if they're not doing that, they're at home, where they're hiding that their pregnancy is not from another person, because surrogacy is equated with sex work, and there's just a stigma associated with it. So however it's being done, whether it's in the clinic or it's at home in the kitchen, it's just these women are not being treated right.
The other thing is that laws in America for surrogate pregnancy are a lot more strict.
That's true. There's no regulation.
There's basically no regulation. They can do it however they want.
This needs to be controlled before it's just spiraling out of control.
I agree. Yeah. And what we hopefully will see is not only more regulation, but a kind of a brand developing for India that they can take pride in it, rather than, oh, let me scurry to India.